Welcome, friends. My name is Avinash Gorakshakar, and I welcome all of you to another interesting episode of Konexio HighFlyers for all of you. Friends, we make an effort to introduce emerging companies from emerging sectors, and this program format has been very popular with our viewers. We talk to companies, their promoters about their growth prospects, their business models, and their growth journeys. And today, friends, we've got a very interesting company by the name of ROX Hi-Tech Limited, and we have the pleasure and the privilege of having the top management team, Mr. Jim Rakesh, who's the managing director of the company, Ms. Sukanya, who's the full-time director. We also have Dr. Kenny, who's the non-executive, non-independent director, and we also are joined by Mr. Himanshu Devrari, the CIO of the company. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time for all of you to do this show with us. I'm pretty confident that this discussion will be very productive and we'll be able to understand your companies better, and our viewers will be able to relate to your company's operations in a much better way.
Yeah, hi. So,
Yeah.
good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute pleasure in connecting with you all through the digital media. And I would like to introduce my team here, who's going to be part of this entire conversation. With me is Sukanya Rakesh, who's the full-time director and also CFO of the company. And with me also we have Dr. Kenny Roberts, MBBS, MS, MCH, who's a specialist in robotic process automation and also will be the subject matter specialist in the board, will guide the company on medical automation practices. And also, I have a privilege of introducing Mr. Himanshu Devrari, who comes with 20 plus years of experience in the IT services industry. We also had the global delivery businesses for various multinationals, who will be also in the leadership team on the digital transformation journey of this organization and the service delivery aspect of the overall organization. And he also will be heading our competency center based out of Noida. And this is the way we will move forward as the vision of this organization. And this is the fundamental purpose we are hitting the capital markets. Thank you.
Fine. I think, thank you, Jim. I think first question, Jim, very elementary. If you could just tell us in a very simple manner that, what is the positioning of ROX Hi-Tech Limited, and what are the kind of segments the company caters to? And if you could share some part of your business journey, when you started this business, how was it? And today, what is the kind of positioning the company enjoys in the market?
So, yep. So, if you ask me in a nutshell, ROX Hi-Tech is a all-weather company because it was born out of Y2K. We started this company in 2001 after a industry disruption in 2000, and we have traveled a journey of last 22 years, seeing all possible disruptions, all possible economic volatility in the global markets and the industry. Where we are placed right now is in the cusp of digital explosion in this country, and the services what we offer is clear cut application to the edge. That's what we call us, or in a simple terms we call a company to be cable to cloud organization. That's where today in any organization's IT adoption journey, if you look at, so first and the foremost thing is app modernization. If they have to be part of the new global digital transformation, you know space. First is app modernization. That's where we are strongly tied up with SAP, and we give SAP services to customers, and we give a robust ERP solutions for them in those areas. Then comes the overall network upgrade and refresh. That's where we are partnered with Cisco, and we are strongly connected with Cisco, and capability wise, we have marquee projects implemented, and that's where we transform the organization's network infrastructure and architectures to the modern terms today. And plus the overall security, IT security today is a CIO charter for every organization today, because the new world is so prone to have threats via the internet and via the other connectivity aspects. So that's where we give overall IT security landscape consulting, advisory services, and also we implement world-class solutions in those areas. Plus, in the 5G world, the edge computing will play a very big important role. because that's where the data is getting created. So that's where we are strongly connected, partnered with IBM and Lenovo. So these are the places we have expertise in data center build, manage, and maintain expertise. So these are few areas where we excel as a business, and we have showcased and demonstrated our capabilities in marquee companies, which are part of our overall client base, illustrious client base, and we have built an all-weather organization in creating LOB services in these areas. Thank you.
Fine. I think nicely articulated, Jim. My second question now is on, you got a wide array of services like digital transformation solutions, network and collaborations, IT and OT security endpoints, and IoT solutions. If you could share some color on this, like what exactly does ROX Media, High Tech do here? If you could spell out in a very simple way, what are the kind of key differentiations in these segments, what the company offers to its clients?
See, fundamentally, if you look at, there are very few players who offer this end-to-end service to a customer today. It's a very fragmented market. There are a few players who are in the consulting space and software delivery space. There are few players who are in the network and security space, and there are few players who are in the edge computing and data center space. There are only few boutique companies like us who cater end-to-end IT services for an organization. That means we are a single-stop solution for the nightmares today what a CIO is facing in the IT landscape of an organization. So ROX has got expertise in application delivery, network rollouts and management, security, services. We have edge implementation, data center where we create the workload management, and we are also now, marching towards automation as a practice, where we see that lot of heterogeneous, applications are today present in an organization, where we want to automate the repetitive tasks through various automation strategies. What we have, that I think my colleague Himanshu will throw light on those areas. And the new baby on the block. See, so long we have been touching the successes of an enterprise, IT, through enterprise. Now we want to touch human lives. So that is we call it as our calling for the next decade or so. We have brought in Dr. Kenny on the board, who will be the subject matter specialist, especially in the areas of oncology, where we feel today a human being should be treated better, than having any emotions coming in between the decision making process of medication. So that is the area where we feel that a lot of value can be added in this country, and we want to touch that unexplored market as well.
Okay. Dr. Kenny, I think Jim mentioned something about oncology, and since you're a vertical specialist, if you could share your thoughts on this subject and how the company will be adding value to the customers. If you could share your thoughts and add some color.
A very good morning, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. It gives me great pleasure to join the panel and share my thoughts on medical automation. Uh, First, let's go on to the fact that where we stand today, how can technology and medicine combine? See, this has been an area of research over the last 10 to 20 years. And where we have come is we have come at a very pivotal point where artificial intelligence may be the game changer in medical industry. And for me, as a practicing oncologist on a day-to-day basis, I do encounter patients, at least 15% of the patients who are either borderline, who we cannot call them to a particular diagnosis, or who we decide based on some facts and data that is available in a heterogeneous system that is in the society. So these are all human knowledge interpreted, and most of the clinical decisions are made based on interpretations given by the human inputs. So where automation could come is automation could provide a uniform platform for interpretation of data. So this is primarily in patient identification. So when you identify him or her right, the treatment becomes easier. And where the automation could play a pivotal role in treatment is if by any chance it could help the treating physician or the treating surgeon to make second to second decisions in war footing during an intervention, during a surgery, It could go a long way in avoiding all possible human errors that can that can play a role in not giving the outcome that is required of a procedure. And moving forward from treatment, if you look at a patient in follow up, most often we depend on human interventions for proper follow up of care. And for me, if you ask me, most of the treatment doesn't end with the treatment in medical hospital. There's an important element of rehabilitation which I feel automation could do wonders in. So I'm looking at it like a 3 point agenda. First, in identification of the disease, to call a spade, to call someone who does not have a disease, to call someone who actually has the disease. The second thing I would probably look into is its help and aid in the physician to give the right treatment for the right patient. And the third one is obviously in following up the patient for better rehabilitation. So we have a 3 point system in addressing concerns, and it's got a great scope in medical industry because this is something that is less known by. Most often a doctor has to go by his gut feeling or has to go by his clinical senses, an extrasensory perception to decide on some pivotal decisions. And if artificial intelligence could bring some marginal change, or an automation could bring some marginal change, it will be a boom and game changer both for the clinician as well as for the patients.
I think very well articulated, Dr. Kenny. Jim, I've got one more question, related to the business opportunity and the kind of market opportunity which is presented for ROX. Now, we mentioned about digital transformation, IoT solutions. I think Dr. Kenny mentioned about medical automation, obviously using artificial intelligence. Now, which are the areas where you think ROX will grow, maximum, or all these areas offer a very strong kind of runway for growth? If you could, just give us a sense of what is the kind of market opportunity which is available for the company over the next, say, 2 to 3 years going forward.
See, if you look at, we have this four-pillar growth strategy, which is very clearly articulated in our DRHP. The first one would be the medical automation. That is, we would like to build, technology which can help the practitioners. That is the first pillar. That's a more a product-based approach. So it is going to take, time to create the prototype and test beds, plus also bring it to the market as a product. We see in the long run, if we are able to succeed in the subscription model, that could explode in the market. One. The second is digital transformation services, which is our existing business, where we want to broad base our business and reaching out large enterprises, because currently we feel that a lot of public sectors are going under, digital transformation journey. We want to participate in a large tender opportunities in the country, plus also take these solutions to the global market. So that is the reason we want to have a footprint in the US, where we like to have the sales teams there and delivery out of India of this technology. That's where Himanshu will play a key role in building the competencies and showcasing the technology capabilities of the organization in delivering these solutions. And the third most important thing, what I talk about network, we want to get close to the customers now by creating network operation centers and security operation centers, where we will monitor the health of the network 24 cross 7 internally, so that customers will have a 360-degree view and 24 cross 7 support from us on the health of the network, so that we can preventively, rather give suggestions, advisories, and also prevent attacks like zero day and those kind of attacks, which might come into their networks. So that is the third pillar strategy. So what we're trying to do is we are going to now keep the existing business and scale. Second, wherever there's a future opportunity on consulting space, that's where we see digital transformation, intelligent automation to come into play. There we want to showcase our global delivery skills for international markets. And the third is a product strategy, what we're having. That's on medical automation. So we are seeing all these three will unisonly work, because there is a clear-cut purpose that we want to now, make a meaning to our madness so far. That that we are also socially responsible as a company by
Okay.
getting into medical field as well. Yeah.
Okay. I think understood. Jim, very well articulated again. Now, Sukanya ma'am, if you could just give us some idea that currently, what's the kind of revenue mix for the company as of FY23, so that we could get an idea as what is the kind of revenue pie which comes from each segment. So if you could, give us these inputs, for our viewers.
So,
Yeah.
Good afternoon, team. Uh, Currently, on uh, we are on a slow base on service. Say on our project scale, it is say 80, and on our services, it's about 20%. However, with the strategies in place going forward, we would want this to, turn into the other way around. That's how we see it.
And within this project business, Jim, if you could add, like, what are the kind of, specific verticals where ROX is actually doing a lot of services help to its clients. So, because you mentioned something about artificial intelligence, about digital transformation, IoT, security services. If you could get a small breakup on this, which would give us an idea what kind of jobs and what kind of work is ROX doing.
See, honestly, if you look at how the stack up has happened on the application side, is today most of the enterprises are stabilized on their ERP journey. So if you look at companies like Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, everybody has today established their markets share, and customers also have established their ERP practice. What is now coming beyond ERP is where we are going to start adding value. So there are a lot of repetitive tasks which are happening in the organizations, and today in a CEO charter of any organization, it is very clear when he is deciding an organization structure, which are areas where he can replace it through with a digital employee. So that's like a robot or a bot or maybe automation, right? These are synonyms there. So these are places where we will do consulting, especially in the larger mid
Okay.
market and SMB space. We'll do consulting, and we will try to give repetitive tasks getting automated. Then that is
Okay.
the first level. Second, then we will apply the AI concepts and technologies, where we can also bring cognitive ability and heuristic approach, where intelligence also can be built in those layers. So that is where I think Himanshu will add value, where he is a specialist on these areas. I think Himanshu, I think you need to throw some light there as well. Yes.
All right, thanks, Jim. Thanks, here. So, just to set the context, basically, when the digital disruption started almost 5 to 6 years back, the industry which was disrupted the most was basically the BPM and the BPO industry, right? Because that was a place where we had the repetitive task or the mundane task on a day-to-day basis to take care of, right? And that's where the RPA came in the picture. Now that continued for some time, and after some time, basically started catering to other businesses as well. Now we are also aligned with the same strategy that on the top of the existing ERP system of the client, which is mostly the SAP in Fortune 1000 or Fortune 100 company, uh, we will implement the RPA to get the first potential or the value to the customers, and then followed by the hyper automation, right? Now, what hyper automation means, that is the thing, but exploiting the RPA stuff further and implementing the artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? Now, the another advantage of the hyper automation is basically it gives you the visibility of the hidden task, which can where it can create the bots automatically and start solving the problem, right? And the third would be the last but obviously not the least, and probably the most important one, which the buzz around is the your chat GPT or the generative AI solutions, right? Now, most companies they have come up, they have already embedded with the core product. However, there are a lot where basically it has to be added as a value, and probably that can be connected with the APIs and all that, right? Where we have a huge potential doing that, because right now it is in the discovery phase. Probably everybody is trying to understand where does the generative AI solution fit, right? Whether it can be done in a simpler way or not. But then that's one area probably which has endless possibilities. But just having said that, at the end of the day, it has a cost, right? Because running the generative AI solutions on your own will involve a huge cost, right? Because you need the multiple and hundreds of GPUs for that, right? So how the generative AI solutions will sustain in the market in the time to come is something to wait and watch, right? But then yes, from a strategy standpoint, on top of the SAP engagements, either it's the AMS or the implementations or the rollout, RPA, and the intelligent automation is anyway there. That's what we are going to focus, uh, and obviously the cloud solutions on top of it, right? So I have also seen the trend where people are moving from on-prem to cloud and back from cloud to on-prem, right? That is again on case-to-case basis, right? So from a digital transformation standpoint, I believe we are pretty clear on that. We have already started working, setting up the practice in Vaira here, and then we have also started hiring a few people who will drive the strategy to the market, or will be responsible for go-to-market.
So fine. I think Himanshu ji very well articulated again. Now, Jim, tell me one thing. What is the total active customer base for our company as of now? And if you could share some, company names, if it is possible, so that our viewers can get a flavor of what kind of, companies basically are serviced by ROX.
So if you look at with the 22-year vintage in the market, we have relationships with around 300 plus customers right now, which are all enterprise clients. And the top marquee clients, currently the top five would be Micron. Micron, the semiconductor manufacturer, who's setting up a world-class, manufacturing site in Ahmedabad. So Micron is one of the marquee clients. Then we have Vestas Wind Turbines. Vestas is a world leader in wind energy and windmills. So that's the second, client, and the third would be a domestic listed company called CAMPS in the BFSI. That's one of our marquee clients. Then the fourth would be on an education, vertical, largest private education institute, university, VIT. VIT is one of our marquee clients as well. And the fifth would be maybe customers like L&T, Ashok Leyland. These are all tip of the icebergs what we have participated, because we need large capacity to address these large enterprises. So that's where we are now building our capabilities, and so that we can participate in their overall appetite for IT as well.
Okay. Jim, now one thing which I wanted to understand, after this question is that what is the kind of repeat business we get from our existing clients? How strong are our relationships there? And typically, what is the kind of strategy for the company in terms of new customer acquisitions? Is there a strategy that some amount of new customers also need to be acquired, plus repeat business has to come in? So if you could add some color on these 2 points, please.
So IT landscape or an IT solution provider to a customer is like, I'll try to borrow the words from Kenny. Dr. Kenny is like a doctor to a enterprise, because data is the new oil, or data is the new gold. So we are actually managing the data security, data performance, and also creating rationale out of data to decision making, uh, through various applications and implementations of automation and stuff like that. So fundamentally, we are very sticky as a business with the customers. It is not easy to hire a IT implementation partner and fire an IT implementation partner until otherwise they have done a very not so good work. So that way, retention ratios are high, because then the entire implementation gets into maintenance phase. That's where customers also want us to be with them and handhold them in various other improvisations. See, the total life cycle of an IT solution is 5 years. So if you look at you like it or not, there's a compulsion to upgrade every 5 years. So this is where the real, what you call, cash flow kicks in. So once you created the mind share, once you created the install bases, you're maintaining them, automatically then upgrade cycle comes in. And so this is a repetitive business by nature, even though you don't call them as a SaaS or a, kind of model, but it is, because that's where we see enterprise clients keep coming back to us again and again, keeping their growth story in mind, because today IT is an enabler for them to achieve their business goals as well, and they keep expanding on creating manufacturing plants. They keep expanding geographically, they keep expanding their verticals. So everywhere they need IT. So that's where the back of the recall is the incumbent vendor, who
Yeah.
is ROX in this business.
I think
And
got it
just
very
to,
well.
Sorry, Himanshu.
Now, tell me one thing, like, in terms of your company's differentiation strategy, like, you all have been doing a very good job, almost a 20-year-old kind of vintage, which you enjoy. Now, typically, in what way do you add value to the client? You mentioned that the business is very sticky. The customer stays with you for a very long period. So typically, in terms of qualitative, kind of checkpoints, Jim, since you have been heading the business, you are the main promoter. If you could tell us from your perspective, what are the qualitative value addition points which you offer to customers, which your competition maybe doesn't provide in the same quantum, and that is why the company has been successful. So if you could give us some flavor on this aspect.
Okay, the classic example, why a customer needs to fall back on rocks. It is, in a very layman's term, it's one neck to catch for their entire experience, from application to edge. Again, I want to repeat, it's a very technical, subject. What I'm talking, CIO's charter today in the spend budget, what they have, 60 to 70% of the spend budget today we are able to address as an organization. So that is the beauty of this company. So from application maintenance, security, network, data center, edge. So ROX is well placed in these areas. And if you look at our accreditations in these areas, we are IBM Platinum Partner, we are Cisco Gold Partner, SAP Gold Partners, Lenovo Platinum Partners. These are all capabilities what we have in house to address a large opportunity in front of us in the marketplace, which is ready for to be addressed. And if you look at our competition, very few have these capabilities which are end to end. They might have competencies in various lines of businesses, but as a stack solution, ROX has built this capability, which is
Okay.
unique today in the marketplace.
Okay. Now, tell me one thing, Jim. Understood this point very well from you. Now, in terms of the competitive landscape, you mentioned that there are very few companies like ROX in this space. Now, typically, then what could be the kind of competitive intensity? Do you mean that there are very few players who compete with you, both in the domestic and global markets? Or is it that there are smaller players also, but they don't really matter considering the kind of services which you offer to the clients? So in a small sense, which could be the comparable companies, if one were to compare ROX vis-a-vis some listed peers or maybe some unlisted companies, to get a better perspective of a like to like kind of comparison.
See, I know it is, in Hindi they say, choti muh badi baat, right? In, comparing. But honestly, I would like to compare it with Wipro.
Okay. Okay. So the Wipro
Because
could be considered to be a kind of a comparable listed player if one were to look at ROX.
absolutely in the global space, because they have the
Okay.
scale now in place.
Okay.
If you look at the charter some 25, 30 years back, they were like us. Or,
Okay. Okay. No, understood. I think fair point. Uh, Sukanya ma'am, now coming to the financials of FY23, this has been a very strong year for ROX. I think we saw revenues of almost 133 crores. Profit after tax was 15 crores. Very good performance. If you could tell us some specific reasons, what were the factors which actually helped the company record this kind of good performance, and what's the kind of broad outlook, which you can share for the coming 12 months, like, at least a broader outlook without mentioning numbers.
Right. Thank you. Because this is, I think this will be the most important answer everybody will be looking for when it comes to investing into our company. And I'm glad I could answer that. See, we all know that there was a dip in our finances and the market space and everything post COVID. And companies were moving from working in the office spaces to working from home and things like that. And that's how our services business and our revenue from the post COVID era started building up. And as we moved on to expertise ourselves and equip ourselves into the services space, the SAP implementation and the working around the services part, it steadily built up our order book in the FY 22-23, and it built it up to a very good strong base where we could work up our profit levels and also our top line. And that is the hype that you see between the if you see the last 3 years. And this made a significant difference in our profit margin. And
Okay.
going forward, we expect our margins to be intact, same double digit. And we are quite sure that it is going to be the case because of our order books and the value add services that we are stepping on.
Okay, fine. Uh, Jim, now one important question, which is basically relating to your IPO. If you could share with our viewers, the broader objective of the IPO, what is the quantum of the IPO you all are planning, and hopefully when could we see this IPO opening, for the benefit of our viewers?
So the IPO file is in the runway at NSE. So I think we are at, I think, in the final stages of getting a go ahead. Once
Yeah.
that happens, I think we'll start opening it maybe the first week of October. So
Okay.
that's the storyline. But
Okay.
if you look at the IPO size will be around 50 crores, and we have our plans charted out where our investments will go, and these are the three four areas where I already discussed. We will try to build the competencies, we'll try to build the skill sets, we'll try to build model to absorb scale. So these are the first steps where now we will go and invest this capital. Plus also our global footprint is very important for digital services because India has proven track record of offshoring. So that's where I think we also would like to participate in those areas.
Okay. And Jim, out of this IPO money, any amount has been allocated for working capital, for augmenting your working capital requirements
Yes.
also?
Yes, somewhere around 30%, 35% is going towards working capital as well.
Okay, fine. Sukanya ma'am, another question on the financial side. If you could tell us,
Sure.
what is the normal working capital cycle for the company, in terms of domestic and export customers?
Um, Currently, we do not do much of export, and we don't have a typical working cycle for our exports. However, we are working towards say, developing a export part of business. Our current domestic working cycle is between 90 days to 120 days when it comes to milestone based projects. And if it is normal fulfillment and regular work on whatever businesses that we have as back to back orders and things like that, it will be anywhere between 45 to 60 days.
Okay, fine. So basically 45 to 60 days is the normal working capital cycle, which you say is for domestic customers, right?
Correct.
Uh, Jim, one important question, from the investor community, which is now going to be part of your shareholder family. Broadly, as a promoter, you have achieved a very strong, achievement in running a very strong company and enterprise. But now with public shareholders coming in, what would be your message and vision for these public shareholders over the longer term? How would you plan to add value to them?
See, definitely, we would like to, first of all, encourage domestic investors to look into, companies like us, because there's something right what we have done for last 2 decades to sustain in this marketplace and succeed. So we are now in the cusp of, scale. So that's where we need their support, and in a couple of years we will build cash in our books so that we'll start giving returns to the investors as well. So that's the good news which I want to share. And my personally, our vision is this is going to be a people's organization, people first philosophy company, and we want to run it very democratically, where I keep always telling we'll keep our emotions at home and data driven organizations, and we will have that intellect built in this management, where we will start doing right for all the stakeholders first, then for us later.
Okay. No, I think very nicely articulated, Jim. Last question now, again, Jim, is that, typically in our business, what could be the single most risk? I mean, COVID, of course, was a different scenario, and a very abnormal one. But normally, on a routine side, what could be the main risk which is there in our business, and how risk mitigation is done by our company to ensure that, we grow despite, any, kind of hiccups or volatility in the market. So, on this, if you could add some color.
See, fundamentally, act of God is the first risk, because IT today in the hybrid work environment is become ubiquitous by nature. You work from office, you work from home, but at the end of the day, you need to have IT to work. So we're not seeing any major risk per se until otherwise there's a geopolitical issue or a Ukraine kind of a scenario coming in, right? So these are all act of God, where we don't have any control as mortals. So other than then, in normal day, I think IT is going to be the way the world will move forward. And technology, people who don't adopt technology will lose their space in the new world, which will be governed by this 5G and the world moving towards quantum internet and those kind of areas. I think technology is the fundamental block to run businesses today.
Well, I think Jim, thank you very much for sharing your vision with us. In fact, Sukanya ma'am, Dr. Kenny, as well as Mr. Himanshu, I think all of you actually gave us very good inputs about the company, and that will actually help all our viewers. Once again, congratulations to you and your entire management team, Jim, and best wishes for your forthcoming IPO. We know it will be a grand success, and best wishes to you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.